Hey everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how to make this quick and easy holiday card using our Poinsettia Garden background stamp. So I have a watercolor panel. It's about 6 by 4.5 inches. I prepped it with an anti-static powder tool because we're going to be doing some heat embossing. And then I took some Versamark ink, which is an embossing ink. It's just a clear sticky ink, which all the embossing powder will stick to. And then I laid my watercolor panel over the stamp, and then I'm going to use my Baren, which is a common tool used in block printing, and it's just going to help me apply some even pressure onto my panel so that it gets evenly inked up. So next I'm just going to spoon on some gold glitter embossing powder all over my panel and then take my heat tool and just melt all of that embossing powder. You want to make sure that you heat your heat gun for about 10 to 15 seconds before you apply it onto your panel to minimize warping. Our Poinsettia Garden background stamp was introduced in our fall 2016 release. I was very excited to add a holiday version into our garden series. Our Poinsettia Garden, like our other garden stamps, have a mixture of outline and solid images, and the stamp just makes it really easy to make a quick card that is beautiful and just effortless. You can stamp it on its own, you can heat emboss on its own, or you can add some color with any of your favorite color mediums to make some quick and elegant cards. So here I just squeeze some powders onto my panel and spritz some water to activate all of that pigment. After I spritzed the water, I took my aqua brush and just kind of moved some of the color around. I didn't do too much because I wanted to keep that natural, I guess, spritzed look that you have here. I wanted to see how this was going to dry, so I didn't do too much here. I also mixed some of that red and green watercolor to paint the pine cone because what red and green make brown. At this point, there was still a little too much white space, so I added some tangerine color bursts where the berries were. So after I squeezed some powder onto the areas where you see some berries, I took my water brush and moved some of that powder around, and then I just spritzed a little bit more water to activate more of that pigment. Again, I don't really move the pigment around too much. I just want to spread it just a little bit to break up the powders. Next, I added some yellow ochre to the pine cones to give it more of a light brown tone. And then I actually added some yellow color bursts to the right side of my panel here because I wanted to get rid of that white space. So I did that off camera. I wasn't planning on adding the yellow, but I kind of just did it on a whim. So here is the panel all dried. I just set the panel aside to dry because I'm going to do some die cutting. I took the largest die from our double stitched rectangle set and I just ran it through my die cutting machine to add some stitching to the edges. The largest die cuts the panel to 4.25 by 5.5, and that's just a regular A2 size panel. Next, I'm creating my own glitter cardstock with our Glossy Fine Glitter Gold Adhesive paper. I cut it down to size. It's a little smaller than my A2 size card panel. Now, I am going to take the second and third largest dies from our double stitch rectangles to create a frame that's going to be popped up onto my watercolored panel. Next, I'm creating a top folding horizontal A2 size card base, and this is going to go under my watercolor panel. I'm using 110-pound cardstock for the card base because the watercolor panel did have a little bit of warping due to the water, but it wasn't too bad once it dried, but I wanted to make sure that it laid flat, so I did use a heavier card base. Next, I just popped up my gold glitter frame with some foam tape. You might be asking, why am I using more foam tape behind my glitter adhesive paper? And it's because I wanted to add dimension instead of just adhering that gold glitter frame directly onto my panel. I wanted that frame to be popped up a little, and that's why I had to create the glitter cardstock in the first place. But my glossy adhesive paper has that nice glossy finish, so that's why I like using this paper. Next, I die cut the Merry Christmas words from our holiday word dies, and I die cut the words from black cardstock and from the same gold glitter cardstock that I made using our Glossy Fine Glitter adhesive paper, and then I adhered the gold word on top of the black word, but I kind of just offset it a little bit so that there was a little bit of that shading. Our Glossy Fine glitter paper has the adhesive on the back, but I had gone ahead and made, I guess, glitter cardstock with that adhesive paper, so I did have to apply the glue behind that glitter die cut. I had planned something else for my sentiment, so that's why I made that glitter cardstock using our adhesive paper. Otherwise, if I had known I was going to make my sentiment this way, I would have kept the adhesive and just applied the gold glitter adhesive paper directly over the black word die cuts. So after I assembled my sentiments, I just adhered them right in the center of my card base. And then to finish off the card, I adhered some matte gold sequins around my sentiment. And now the card is complete. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I had a really good time just making this card and not planning anything. I just made it, and I hope you guys really liked today's card. I'll see you next time.